A lot of information that I provided about the topic of Robert Kelly was overshadowed by a lot of foolishness, and people overlooked how I pointed out people like Dream Hampton and Tamara Simmons used individuals that they felt had issues with Robert Kelly personally and tried to build these narratives around their personal feelings about him. So just imagine when those who may have had issues with him in the past see all this pile up going on now and see what's really going on.
A million motherfuckers hating me, or 40 billion motherfuckers loving me.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna take this musical shit and I'm gonna inject these motherfuckers with this musical, beautiful motherfucking shit.
No, don't do that. I can't afford no more kids.
No. No. Understand? I am handcuffed like a lot of you motherfuckers. I'm handcuffed by my destiny. It's too late. They should have did this shit 30 years ago. It's too late. The music has been injected into the world. Okay? I hired my motherfucking self. I want to propose a toast to all the strong motherfuckers in here right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Motherfuckers like you is why I still continue to do what I do.
Can I get with you? What?
ACP, did you see this?
Look, if it ain't official Dana J, Levi for Kelly, Primadonnanews, I don't even want to see it. Just take the time. Look, you got some weed? Dang. You gotta get some. All right, hurry up. These of them here, everybody here, we waiting on you.
When people speak on the topic, they don't want to talk about how these producers put these people up on these platforms, knowing very well they were full of shit, and then they got on social media and exposed each other whenever they got in their feelings about things being said. Therefore, when I watch these people coming to YouTube, giving their interviews, telling their stories, people bypass the common sense and why I wasn't interested in mixing and mingling with certain individuals as I saw where this was going clearly. It also doesn't take a genius to recognize a lot of these people feel the way they feel about Robert Kelly because of these stories that have been put out here on these platforms. Therefore, when I saw them emerging in these indictments, my position became very clear. It was just certain individuals that I was not going to deal with, regardless of how a group of individuals felt about others. When I'm pointing out to you all of the janky-ass behaviors and information being distributed through these platforms that make Robert Kelly look guilty, as all these janky-ass people involve themselves in fraud. Common sense. I'm not coming out in the midst of a RICO talking about money. I'm not coming out in the midst of a RICO talking about putting music over here, putting music over there, and doing all this other janky ass shit. And definitely, I don't have to try to threaten and coerce individuals to attack individuals on these platforms because I'm slow. And we all know I said what the fuck I said. So as I continue to watch all these people try to put me into bullshit, then keep trying to watch my platform to get ahead of the information I'm giving you, it became clear as day the information I told you long ago, and why I didn't trust none of these janky-ass people that call themselves part of Robert Kelly's entourage, inner circle, or whatever you want to call them. But don't take it from me, because many people have came out and said the exact same things that I'm telling you right now.
R. Kelly on tour, Prince on tour, and I used to be backstage. I used to watch mothers tell their daughters to take off their underwear.
Wow.
I've seen this, and you mean to tell me they're not held accountable, the parents are not? As Mr. Cosby say, the revolution starts in the home, right?
Yes, sir.
And so it was those things what I wanted to do for him. And I was in a train station last year, and his cousin Keith called me, and I recommended attorney Jennifer Bonjean. And she told me she was talking to them, and she's our attorney. And I said, well, Keith is the one that has the means and resources to pay you. And I connected them on a text message, and that's how she got involved. Okay. And I've always told them I didn't want a dime. Now, I did tell Keith when we talked, and I want to put the truth and facts out here. I don't believe in hiding anything behind the door. So when people come back at your show, I want them to, they make whatever comments. Yeah. I want to put it all out here. I don't do halfway stories because this is not a halfway house show. So, so this is the real. I do the real stories, and I stick with the truth and the facts, man. And one thing I said to him, I said, look, it would cost, you would have to pay me something because I would have to travel. I would have to do this. I would have to, expenses. And because it gets expensive when you go live in a city. You have to go live in a hotel. You have to do this. You have to develop relationships. You have to be out here working in public. You got to, part of doing what I do, I have to be in the streets. Okay, I got to go in the hood because I know with the street committee, they're the ones that know any and everything. They're the ones that could possibly be on these juries. They could be potential jurors. And their minds are already tainted. So now I got to go hang out in whatever spot I need to hang out at. I don't care how rough it is. Look, I tell everybody, one thing I don't fear is my people. I'm careful. And I understand, but I don't fear my people. That's right. And when you don't fear your people, that gives you a certain amount of respect where you could go into certain hoods and everybody be like, oh, you here? It's like you hanging out on the corner at the White House, get some subs. A guy came up to me, are you serious? Like, look, I'm just a regular guy, regular dude. And they didn't understand that aspect of it, of that I would have to go and tell his story. So when TMZ caught me in Beverly Hills last year, when he was, when Robert was found guilty, and they said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, he was railroaded." He was, because how do you take a RICO law? Right. Now, a RICO law, this law was passed in 1970 by Congress to take down crime families.
Exactly.
Okay, now you're going to take it into sex trafficking? They're designing the formula on how to take successful black men, whether especially if you're entertainment, you're an athlete, they're finding unique ways now. They're using a RICO law. A RICO law. He wasn't smuggling drugs. He didn't have any casinos. Right. You're treating this man like he's Bugsy Siegel. Pretty much. And you go and you use this law to say, well, but he was trafficking young girls. You didn't use that law against Jeffrey Epstein.
Nope.
Good point. Wow.
Think about it.
Yep.
You didn't use that law against Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right. Yep. She got 20 years.
Okay. But did you ever hear RICO?
Nope. Sure didn't.
So think about what they're doing. They're restructuring, as I said earlier. When we figure out the laws, because they created the laws, they restructure the laws. Yep. And they restructure the laws because, first of all, they understand that if you want a black person to read something, put it in a book, because we're not going to open the book. And they understand that they got our attention focused on materialistic things, social media. So that's the background on Robert. I tried to stop Robert from doing the Gayle King interview. Yeah. And I called, and what Darrell did, he set the interview, and Oprah funneled money, and Robert never got to see a dime of it. And so look what Gayle did. She let him stand up, even though he was emotional. Right. That's why he should have never done the interview. Exactly. Because look, we don't got pulled over by a cop with a traffic ticket, and we get emotional because we know we didn't run that red light. We know you're profiling us. Well, it's certain when you're in those heightened situations, you have to now take a step back and say, this is not the time that I go and do a sit-down interview. Robert tried to repair himself. You can't repair yourself. You have to have somebody else who's not in your realm, not in your world to repair you. I'm not in your world. Right. I'm not in your realm. I'm not out here cutting the album. I'm not doing the show. Right. My job is to use my image and tie my image to you and say that I'm not perfect, because every man has his fallacies and idiosyncrasies. I'm not a perfect, but what I can do, I could tell your story. Let someone else tell your story. But see, they coerced him with money that he never got to see. Man. And you never know who they're putting around you to set you up.
Now, clearly, I showed you all this information that was being brought to these platforms was janky as hell, and individuals were aligning themselves up with other individuals in order to facilitate these stories. But it doesn't change the fact that I pointed out the blatant hypocrisy and the janky politics and why I don't take these accusations serious. So when I hear Andrew Wyatt talk about Oprah funneling money, and I've pointed to you time and time these shell companies that were constructed in order to facilitate these narratives, it should be a no-brainer how I was able to trace down these stories, pinpoint why I don't believe them, and allow my audience to do their own research instead of listening to these janky ass sources. So to bring home the talking point, it should also be a no-brainer why artists like Neyo are starting to be more vocal as more information is emerging, when I've told you if people put the information out there, let the people see it, it won't be such a challenge to get people to see the truth. But what these people not gonna do is tell me Robert Kelly's whole career was based around trafficking women. They can't pinpoint any wiretaps, any financial records that pinpoint him actually authorizing it, other than the fraudulent shit I pointed out to you. And everybody want to tiptoe around the fact, and how I also pointed out to you how they're making it financially beneficial for these people to tell these stories. So if you gonna tell me Robert Kelly is a RICO, somebody gonna have to initiate an investigation on all these shell companies that were constructed in order to get a surviving R. Kelly, in order to get these interviews set in motion. As I told you, these people didn't get paid for the interview per se. But you got to be a fool to still be stuck on stupid, wondering why these people are participating in the biggest fraud in history, period.
I talked to Angela now. You got to get rid of Mason, and you have to get rid of this publicist, because they are working with Avenatti. This was a whole, like, this Gayle King thing. They knew about this from, like, weeks ago. Like, they've been planning this. I know you don't probably want to listen to me, but please, you cannot let him do this interview on Monday. Like, all of this stuff is a plan to just, like, rip you apart and make shit worse.
Cannot let who do an interview?
This Daryl Johnson guy. The guy who's supposed to be, like, the publicist or whatever.
Rip me apart how?
Get you away?
Rip me apart how?
Like, it's just all things. Like, I don't know.
No. Just be specific. Be specific. Rip me apart how?
I don't know the how.
Okay, I want you to find out. I want you to find out how and let me know.
We did our job. We brought the information to the public. Surviving R. Kelly went off. We kept that shit going. We got bus drivers. We got police officers. We got assistants. We got friends. We got people to lie. We got the storage. We got motherfucking video, audio. We got the storage. We got motherfucking video, audio. You ever seen Asriel at my house? You ever seen parents at my house?
You see now, you done fucked up. You're not doing it. I said, I thought.
So, you know what I'm saying? You done fucked up now, you know that, don't you?
The more questions that cop asked, the more I thought I wasn't gonna never see daylight again.
This time you said you bought the bottle.
I was just waiting for them to tell me they seen that damn videotape, but they hadn't.
No, you done fucked up, don't you? No, don't you? No, you done fucked up.
Without the tape, they had nothing.
Okay, because I'm letting you know now. Well, I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay, I did want to tell you, like, to switch the 90 days out, but when you do switch them out, I do have a lot of stuff to talk to you about, like, really good stuff. What do you mean? We already talked about last week switching out the days. We've been talked about that, so why are you saying wow?
Yeah, because you hung up on me and called right into the building, and they called me to the floor to discuss the same thing I had already told you.
Sorry, no. Don't say nothing to me. Don't say nothing to me. Do not say anything to me. Joy is in jail for assault. So I feel so sorry for the both of you. Don't say anything other to me. I feel bad for you. I know, yes, you do. You knew I was coming up here to get Joy, and you lied to her. Yep. I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for you, Bear. I'm sorry for you. I am so sorry for you. Oh, it's Bear. It's done. It's done, Bear. It's done. It's over. It's over. You may not even make it to trial. I'm so sorry for you. I'm sorry. I really did love you. And you lied to me, and you used me, and you played me. Yes, you did, Bear. Yes, you did, Bear. Bye.